I don't think you can lose the game in the first over, but we certainly didn't do ourselves any favours in the first six. And it would have been very difficult to pull it back then, which we didn't either. So I think we performed very poorly in the field, and we weren't really going to chase 170 odd.
Do you think you had received like surface because there was a green look to it, but there is nothing on offer for the bowlers?
No, I don't think so. I think we just bowled poorly to our field. We didn't bowl the lines and lengths that we had planned to, and we didn't execute our skills pretty much at all. So you're going to get hit for lots of runs against a good team when you do that.
And the partnership between the Suzy Breaks and really buying for a team like yours, young team like yours, an experienced man, what did you guys learn from that partnership?
Well, I'm not personally that inexperienced, but I think as a team we're inexperienced. Yeah, I think you can only learn from that. It was quite clear early on that Susie was going to go, and Divine was for her pushing it around. I know she still played some big shots, but they didn't both go, which showed they came up with a plan. They're both very quick between the wickets. All of those things. They're very professional, and I hope that the girls on the younger girls on my team would learn from that.
Unhappy with the fielding standard?
Yeah, very unhappy. We pride ourselves in our fielding usually, and it just very sloppy in the field. The angles were wrong. We weren't in the right place at the right time, not cutting the ball off. To be fair, the New Zealand team are known for their running between the wickets, so I think they still would have got some of the twos, but there were some sloppy twos from just not picking the ball up, some misfields, especially near the end. And I think that was because the heads had dropped, and which isn't good enough when you come to a World Cup.
And for apart from the cricket, the emotion happening in India, what's been the revelation for the girls?
It is and it isn't. I mean, the last two times we've played abroad have been in Bangladesh, where cricket's obviously just as popular. So in that way, it's not as big a surprise for most of us. But some of the girls weren't in the last trip. So for them, it is. It's always good coming to a country where cricket's so recognised, coming from Ireland. And I hope that wasn't what got on top of the girls today.
Were the conditions difficult to field in?
No, they were lovely to field in. I think that was probably what not surprised us. But the last tournament we played in was in Thailand, where the outfield was very, very bumpy and slow. We haven't had any outdoor training since then until we got here, and our training camp was similar, slow and bumpy outfield. So the first time we had like a lovely outfield to practice on was here when we arrived a couple of days ago. But we have trained since then, and in Ireland we obviously play on lovely pitches that are very quick. So it's no excuse. It was just, I think it was poor from the first over, and we just didn't really manage to pull it back.
What about the pitch here in Mohali? You failed to read that?
No, I was just saying earlier, we just bowled poorly.
And Sri Lanka as a team, they have not been at the top of their game. You look them as a definite target.
Absolutely, yeah. I think we just have to go back after this game, obviously pick it apart. We know we've gone wrong in a lot of areas, figure out how we're going to come back strong from this, because there's no point in thinking about it too long. It's not going to help us out. We know we can play a lot better than this. I think with the bat, we need to be a bit more inventive. New Zealand bowl very, very tight, and they know obviously have a good feel to what they're going to bowl, but then they actually bowl where they want to bowl. So we need to maybe figure out how we're going to score more runs, because we obviously didn't lose too many wickets today, which is frustrating.
You seem to find it quite comfortable yourself, though.
Yes and no. I mean, chasing 170, probably I wasn't comfortable to chase 170, but I didn't really have any chance to go myself, because I didn't feel like anyone else was going to do the job. I mean, whatever job that was, getting over 100, but it wasn't. They're not reinventing the wheel. They're just bowling on a dime, and they know what they're doing. They have their plans, and they're not going to get you out with an absolutely amazing ball. Most of them, it's going to be you getting yourself out by trying to score runs.
You presumably revised your target for all of the 70?
I mean, we didn't on the sideline. There's no point in doing that. But myself out in the middle, I think when there was about 16 overs gone, I thought, let's try and get to 100, try and get something out of the game, and then I just preempted it, short ball, and got a slower Yorker.
I think a target of 170 was pretty big for any form of T20 cricket. During the beginning of the innings and along the progression, there were moments in the game where you guys, New Zealand was pulling through, they were hitting big runs, and you sort of pulled them back. And then you lost it in a couple of moments where, there was a few short deliveries, there was a few wide ones. At the end, what are you going to change in that? Like, how do you complement that in your next game? What thought process is going into that now?
Well, I think some of the credit has to go to the batters playing good shots. So, I mean, sometimes you have to turn around and say, they've moved around, they've hit a gap. You can't have a fielder everywhere. And when you have two very experienced batters in, it's quite tough. So a lot of credit goes to them. That being said, I don't think we bowled enough change-ups. I don't think that we were aware enough in the field. We didn't put pressure on when they were only looking for ones. We didn't cut off twos. All these things. There's a million and one things. I think that probably the length was wrong in the second last over. Certainly, it was just the perfect length to hit over the ropes. Unfortunately. So yeah, there's so many things for each player to take from it. So we'll probably just try and focus on one or two things per player, and then that will hopefully, against Sri Lanka, who hopefully won't do as well as New Zealand, that might help us bring the total back down.
So that, when you lose by close to 100 runs, does it leave a psychological impact?
Yeah, I mean, I personally don't try and look at the scoreboard or the scorebook too much in these kind of situations. Try and focus on the positives, but not shy away from what's gone wrong. There's no point in thinking, okay, well, if it was 80, it would have been better. I mean, losing by any more than 50 it's the same as losing by 100, really. You'd nearly prefer to lose by more than that. We might be all out, I think, in T20. So, that's what I said to the girls in the middle. There's no point in just defending and really looking for ones. We've got to try and play our shots, which it may not have looked like that, but that was certainly my mindset.
The dismissal of Devi, did you see her coming out and then more than wide?
No, I saw her coming down and bowled short. I just took the pace off it, yeah. It was probably the only one that turned all day, so she was pretty unlucky. Thanks.
Sorry, I'm not Susie Bates.
So busy there at the office.
Yeah, look, it was very pleasing. I think we spoke a lot about we wanted to really put a marker on this game. I think in the past when we've come up against Ireland, we probably haven't performed the way we wanted to. So it's been really nice today to put on a complete performance, I think, both with bat and ball, and sort of holds us in good stead. Looking forward to our next game against the Aussies, which I've just heard the Black Caps have beaten. So it's a good day for New Zealand cricket again. No, I don't even know. No, it was all about, I guess, trying to restrict them as much as possible. Sarah McGlashan at mid-off said, actually, can you please keep them under 100, because that sounds nice, but I blew that after the first ball. So, no, look, milestones are all nice after the game, but I think during it, it's sort of just trying to do a job.
When you back, like you have played against bigger opponents, you have scored bigger runs, 18, 150 and all that. When you play against the teams like Ireland who are not up to the mark, how difficult it is to motivate to score these runs?
Oh, look, I don't think I ever lack motivation to score runs. I think obviously it's always nice to perform, I guess, against the big teams. But look, I thought Ireland actually did a reasonable job today. I think it was difficult. I thought Lucy O'Reilly bowled really well, sort of bowling a lot of cutters. It was sort of difficult to get away, and I think you saw it was sort of just the loose ball that me and Bates was sort of able to put away. But look, it's always nice to score runs, and I think Susie again today led the way with that.
2,000 runs for Susie.
Yeah, look, it's a fantastic achievement, and I know it's something that she's incredibly humble about. I think she's the first New Zealander to achieve that, so that's fantastic for her, and she's a leader who leads from the front and leads from her actions on the park. So look, she's a real inspiration to all of us, and I know there's hopefully another 2,000 runs left in her.
Ireland isn't exactly the toughest opponent per se. You will face tougher opposition. So in this game where you've had a clinical performance pretty much, you've restricted a team to close to 100 and scored 170. What part of the game do you think you still have to sort of improve if you face, say, Australia or one of the bigger teams and all that?
Oh, look, I don't think any team's an easy beat. I think you still got to go out and perform, and today obviously we did that really well. There's still going to be little things that we would like to work on. I know something that we have a real focus on is our scoring shot percentage, so that can always improve, scoring off every ball in the over. So that's something looking forward to Australia that will really be really big. And again, probably bowling-wise, our first six as well, was both games, batters have come hard at us, and we've always expected that because that's when you've got to make the most with two fielders up. So that's going to be something that we've got to, I guess, continually adjust with is our plans in that first six and how we can contain. Obviously, our spinners are doing a great job sort of slowing the run rate and taking key wickets. So, look, we're really positive moving forward, and we know Aussie are going to be a tough challenge.
You took a lot of singles, literally into the field and running. Was it a part of the? And
Yeah, look, I think we spoke about it against Sri Lanka as well, is that we wanted to put pressure on the field, and whether that's running to the fielder or pushing for those twos, that's something that we really want to up in our game. We know that we can probably sneak a few singles here and there, and if we put the pressure on the fielding side, usually 8 or 9 times out of 10 they'll fumble it and we can get through. So if we can put pressure on, and we know in cricket that 1 or 2 runs at the end of the day can make all the difference, so if we can sneak a run here and there, we're definitely going to do it.
when a team goes out to bat in a T20 game, you are a hitter. How many balls do you look to convert into boundaries? Ballpark figure.
Oh, look, that's really tough. It sort of depends not only on the opposition but on the ground, on the conditions and things like that. I think ideally in T20 you're wanting to hit, anywhere between 40 and 50% boundaries is ideal, I guess, but just in saying that though, you can score 2s, 3s, singles and things like that and still be getting 10 and over, which is just as effective. So it is important to score those boundaries in T20 cricket, but it's just as good to, mix and mingle with the others.